Alexander's shadow still hangs over the Hellenistic Mediterranean. Rome crosses the Adriatic and studies Greece as an unlikely prize, glittering cities, ambitious kings, and a war it doesn't yet know it will win. On Italian training grounds, legionaries rehearse Rome's machine discipline, tight ranks and pila, thrown on one command, preparing for a different kind of enemy than Hannibal. On the Thessalian plain, the legend appears. The Macedonian Phalanx, a wall of shields with 5 rows of sarissas, advancing like a metal forest that has ruled for 2 centuries. Each sarissa is 6 meters long. Together they push air and fear. From the front, the phalanx doesn't look like men, it looks like a mechanism built to crush everything straight ahead. On Illyrian cliffs, Roman scouts track Greek sails. Rome is learning the real map, coasts, passes, ports, and the exact distance between sea lanes and battlefield decisions. Philip I traces routes on a map and plans expansion while Rome fights Carthage. For him, it's opportunity. For Rome, it's proof that Macedon is now a strategic rival. Envoys meet on the docks and wax seals change hands. Alliances are bought, sworn betrayed. The Adriatic fills with whispers that travel faster than the ships carrying them. In Rome, commanders debate Illyria as a strategic hinge. They aren't chasing quick glory. They're studying the enemy weapon, its rhythm, its breathing, and the moment when it finally snaps. 214 BCE, legionaries jump into surf and sprint onto the beach. This isn't total conquest. It's a terrain test, a brutal lesson paid in mud, exhaustion, and blood. In mountain passes, pikes thrust down from above as shields grind upward from below. Here, the phalanx can't turn fast, and the legion discovers that landscape itself can be a weapon. Rome, the wolf, tests Macedon's iron wall. Roman maniples wheel, split, and close again. On broken ground, flexibility beats any iron wall, and every gap becomes a doorway, an opening the legion can exploit at speed. The phalanx tries to pivot uphill, sarissas tilt, and the line tightens. Its strength depends on cohesion, and every ridge and dip steals inches of order from the formation. Velites sprint between rocks and loose javelins into the front rank. They aren't seeking mass kills. They're chasing disorder, forcing a step back, and opening a heartbeat of doubt in the wall. Macedonian cavalry charges, throwing up a cloud of dust. Rome holds, shields locked, waiting to answer with movement, instead of rigidity turning defense into a chance to maneuver. While others rest, Roman engineers raise palisades and ditches. War is won with timber, rope, and time, turning a hill into a night-built fortress before dawn can expose the campo. At night, by torchlight, Romans burst through an olive grove and seize pack mules. Cutting supplies, cutting legs. Without food and fodder, the phalanx advances slower and weaker. On a brief stretch of flat ground, the phalanx shoves and pins Roman shields with sarissas. For a moment, the machine works, and the legion feels the ancient world still biting hard. A centurion snaps his red cloak and orders a sudden lateral sprint. Rome's genius isn't endless endurance, It's changing the angle, attacking where the long spear cannot reach. In camp, Romans drag captured sarissas and measure their reach by pacing it out. They learn by hand the space it needs, the time it takes to turn, the point where it becomes clumsy. On a riverbank, envoys exchange hostages under tense stares. Peace is a pause, not friendship. Every diplomatic gesture doubles as a military calculation, weighed like coins on a scale. Cynoscephalae, the hills crack the phalanx apart. 200 BCE, the legion pushes into Thessaly with mules and wagons on muddy roads. The supply column is an exposed vein. If it's cut, Rome bleeds out far from home. From the heights, Macedonian scouts signal the Roman march below. They raid its length and fatigue, waiting for the perfect ground to force a fight where terrain dictates everything. 197 BCE. Foggy dawn on the Dog's Head Hills. The Roman vanguard crests a ridge with shields raised, moving half-blind toward an enemy that is already forming its line in the mists. In the haze, the phalanx starts forward. Sarissas emerge like bristles. Every synchronized step is intimidation, an advancing threat that seems unstoppable until the hills demand adaptation. Iron tips hammer Roman shields and push the front line back on wet grass. The shove is brutal, yet the slope forces the phalanx to stretch, and stretched formations begin to lose shape. The rigid formation dips into gullies and breaks into separated blocks. Where a wall stood, corridors appear. The phalanx needs continuity, and the landscape refuses to grant it. Roman maniples surge into the openings and slam shields into isolated spearmen. Rome doesn't assault the invulnerable front. It enters through seams, like a blade sliding into armor joints. In a cramped gap, a legionary drives his gladius upward beneath a sarissa shaft. Distance flips. The long pike loses meaning, and the short sword turns chaos into Roman advantage. Macedonians stumble downhill. Sarissas tangle, and the line dissolves. The machine, perfect on flat ground, becomes a crowd, and once it's a crowd, it can only run. Philip V rides off through dust and shouting, screened by cavalry. The defeat is more than tactical. Its symbolic. Rome has exposed a mortal crack in Alexander's old military myth. Rome crosses the Aegean and hunts Eastern kings. At the Isthmian Games, a Roman herald raises his staff and proclaims Greek freedom. The stadium erupts, yet the words sound like triumph. Rome arrives as savior while tightening its grip. Then the garrisons come. Roman troops march under marble colonnades as citizens watch from doorways. The promised freedom feels like permanent supervision, quiet, efficient, and hard to escape. 192 BCE, Antiochus III lands with Seleucid infantry, aiming to fill the power vacuum. Rome answers with cold speed. It will not tolerate another strong king on the Greek board. At Thermopylae, the narrow pass becomes a press. Legionaries surge forward, using shields and mass to break the line. The place is legendary. This time, the outcome is purely Roman. Seleucid ranks fall back through the gorge as Rome keeps driving. Antiochus flees toward the sea. The war no longer fits inside Greece, and the pursuit races across the Aegean. Roman ships cut through choppy Aegean swells to the beat of oars. It's a historic move. The frontier becomes a bridge, and the Republic learns to project power beyond Europe. 190 BCE, Magnesia. War elephants thunder across the plain, trumpeting through boiling dust. The Seleucid host is vast and spectacular, confident in variety. Rome trusts cohesion and drilled control. The Roman front locks shields as an elephant bears down. Discipline is the weapon. Absorb the impact, keep the line, and force the giant to turn while a legion holds its shape. Roman allied cavalry accelerates past scythed chariots and slices into retreating infantry. When the enemy front unravels, Rome turns confusion into a sweeping chase across open ground. In the dust, Roman soldiers wrench a tall standard from enemy hands and lift it high. It isn't just a trophy, it's a visible signal that the eastern balance has decisively shifted. Pydna and Corinth. Greek independence ends in fire. 168 BCE, Pydna. The Phalanx descends the slope and drives its sarissa wall into Rome again. At first, Romans give ground. The pressure feels final, as if Macedon has truly returned. But broken ground opens gaps and maniples pour inside. Shields shove, gladies stab at close range, and each Macedonian section is isolated, unable to reform the single wall it depends on. Perseus sees the tide turn and spurs his horse toward a wooded ridge. Behind him, the field fills with Romans. Defeat makes the king a fugitive, and Macedon a territory to be managed. 146 BCE. Rome storms Corinth. Gates splinter, smoke rises, and fire eats the roofs. The destruction is a warning to all Greece. Resistance is no longer a negotiation. It is a sentence. And yet, in Athens, a philosopher teaches Roman youths beneath the stone. Rome governs politics, but Greece conquers minds, columns, gods, and Greek words traveling into the empire's heart.